Subscribe to my YouTube channel for more dramatic love stories that'll leave your heart racing. She only wanted to rest her tired feet. Just a nap. Under a tree in her neighborhood park. Away from all the noise, the work stress, and the endless disappointment of city life. But when Lin Xia closed her eyes, something strange happened. She felt weightless, like falling, floating, and flying all at once. Then, blackness. When she opened her eyes, she was no longer under that tree. There were no cars honking, no tall buildings, no sound of her noisy neighbors yelling over food deliveries. Instead, she was lying in a massive bed with silk curtains, strange symbols carved into the wooden pillars, and the scent of incense in the air. The clothes on her body weren't hers. They were layers of embroidered fabric she didn't recognize. She sat up, confused. And that's when she saw a mirror. What she saw nearly made her scream. It was her face, but not quite. Her reflection was her, but different, softer, more delicate. Her hair was longer, styled in a traditional bun. Her skin was glowing. She looked like one of those gentle heroines from a historical drama, and the room she was in, it looked like something out of an imperial palace. Before she could make sense of it, the door creaked open. "Madam Lin, His Majesty has summoned you." A maid, dressed in ancient clothing, bowed deeply. "His Majesty?" Lin Xia blinked. "Excuse me, what?" The maid's face turned pale. "Forgive me, madam. I didn't mean to be rude. Please, don't be angry." Lin Xia tried to stand, but her legs were wobbly. Nothing felt real. This wasn't a prank. There were too many details, too many sensations. It was then that a terrifying thought hit her. This felt exactly like that romance novel she was reading last night before falling asleep. The one where the female lead, a poor commoner, accidentally gets pulled into palace drama after a fateful encounter with the emperor. "No way," she whispered. Was she inside that story? Before she could panic further, she was escorted to a beautiful hall where golden dragons coiled around the pillars and sunlight streamed through colored glass windows. And on a throne sat a man, cold, distant, but devastatingly handsome. His eyes met hers, and for a second, her heart stopped. "Come closer," he said. The voice was deep, powerful, and oddly familiar. Lin Xia walked forward cautiously. Her heart beat loud in her ears. As she approached, his eyes narrowed slightly, not in suspicion, but something else, like confusion or recognition. "You look different," he said slowly. "Did you dream again last night?" She opened her mouth to speak, but no words came out, because she suddenly remembered. The novel. The emperor was obsessed with the female lead because she kept appearing in his dreams. In those dreams, she was always dressed in modern clothes, saying strange words he didn't understand. That's how he became obsessed with her, convinced she was a celestial woman sent from the heavens. Oh no, Lin Xia swallowed hard. What if she really was the woman from his dreams now? Before she could explain anything, he stepped down from the throne, walked toward her, and stopped just inches away. "You don't remember, do you?" he murmured. She shook her head. He studied her face for a moment longer, then gave a small smile. "It doesn't matter. You're here now." That night, she was taken to the royal chambers. She tried to escape, tried to hide, but the palace was a maze. Servants bowed to her. Nobles glared at her, and every path she took led her back to him. She didn't understand what was happening. Everything felt like a dream or a trap. The next morning, she woke up in his bed, his arm draped protectively around her waist. Panic surged in her chest. She didn't remember anything from the night before. Just that she had cried, tried to explain she wasn't who they thought she was. And then, everything went blank. She carefully slid out of the bed, trying not to wake him. But the moment her feet touched the floor, his voice stopped her. "You're leaving already?" She froze. Slowly she turned around. He was awake, watching her. Not angry, not upset, just quiet, as if he was afraid she'd vanish if he blinked. "I know you're scared," he said gently, "but I won't hurt you, ever." She didn't respond. How could she? She didn't even know what was real anymore. Later that day, the palace buzzed with gossip. The emperor had spent the night with a mysterious woman no one had ever seen before. The consorts were furious. The ministers whispered about witchcraft. But none of that mattered to him, because he only had eyes for her. As days passed, Linjia tried everything to return to her own world. She searched the palace for clues, begged the palace priest for help, even climbed a tower, thinking maybe a fall would snap her back to reality. But nothing worked, and each night he came to her. He never forced her, never threatened her. He only sat beside her, talked about his day, and listened as she shared stories from a world he couldn't imagine. Slowly she found herself opening up, laughing, crying, wanting to believe this could be real, even if it made no sense. But just when she started to think, maybe this strange twist of fate could be something beautiful, she overheard something that shattered her heart. "I found out who she really is," whispered one of the concubines. "She's not from here, not even from this world." Then why does His Majesty protect her so fiercely? Because he's obsessed. He thinks she's part of some prophecy, a woman from the heavens who will destroy the empire or save it. Lin Jia stood frozen behind the screen, every word cutting deeper. Was that all she was to him? A dream? A prophecy? Not a real person. That night she confronted him. "Tell me the truth," she demanded. "Why me? Why are you so obsessed?" His face changed, not with anger, but pain. "Because I've seen you," he said softly, "long before you ever stepped into this world. In every dream, every moment of silence, you were there. And when I finally touched you, I knew I could never let go." She didn't know what to say, because deep down, she had started to feel it too. The connection, the pull. But now, everything felt like a lie, and just as she turned to leave him, everything went dark. The palace trembled. Screams echoed from outside. A coup. A betrayal. He rushed to her side, pulled her into his arms. "Stay with me," he whispered. "No matter what happens, don't leave, please." But what if she had no choice? What if her time in this world was running out? The palace gates were sealed shut. Guards ran through the corridors. Urgent voices echoed everywhere. Lin Xia stayed close to him, clinging to the only person who seemed to know what was going on. She didn't fully trust him yet, but in that moment, there was no time to question. The emperor pulled her through a hidden corridor, his face tense. He didn't speak, but his hand never left hers. When they reached a quiet chamber, he finally turned to her. "There's a rebellion," he said. "Someone from within the court. They want the throne, and they'll come for you too." "Me?" she asked, her voice trembling. "Why would they come after me?" He looked at her, the weight of the world in his eyes. "Because you're the most important person to me now, and they know it." The words hung in the air like thunder. Lin Xia didn't know what to say. She was just a girl from a normal world, someone who used to worry about bills, work stress, and traffic. Now she was a target in a palace rebellion, loved by an emperor from a completely different time. It didn't feel real, and yet her heart was pounding. Her body was shaking, and she couldn't deny what she felt. As the days passed, the palace changed. Guards doubled. Ministers whispered behind fans. No one smiled anymore, and Lin Xia found herself in the middle of a silent storm, one that was slowly growing louder. She started learning more about this world. The woman whose body she now lived had been a low-level palace maid, quiet, unimportant, barely noticed. But when Lin Xia arrived, something shifted. Her presence made people uneasy, not because she did anything wrong, but because the emperor had changed. He no longer visited the other concubines. He cancelled important court meetings just to spend time with her. And every time she opened her mouth and said something modern, about airplanes or phones, he watched her like she was magic. One day, she wandered into the library, hoping to find anything, any scroll, book, or record that could explain how she got here or how she could go back. But what she found instead was a sealed letter hidden in an old book. It was written in a delicate hand and smelled faintly of dried flowers. The signature at the bottom froze her blood. It was her own name. Ba Sha. But how? She opened the letter, her hands shaking. The words inside were cryptic, but clear. You were never meant to stay, but if you do, you must choose love or truth. The emperor is not who he seems. That night she couldn't sleep. She lay beside him, eyes open, mind racing. Who had written that letter? Was there someone else who came from her world? And what did it mean that he wasn't who he seemed? The next morning, she overheard something that shattered her trust even more. Hidden behind a screen, she listened as two ministers spoke in hushed voices. She's from another world. That woman, not even of royal blood. She's dangerous. The other replied. His Majesty would throw away the empire for her. He already is. She backed away quietly, her heart pounding. All this time, she thought maybe she had found safety with him. But now, doubt crept in. Did he really care for her? Or was she just a fantasy he was clinging to, a dream he was trying to trap in the real world? Then came the biggest shock of all. Late one evening, she found herself in a small courtyard she hadn't seen before. A gentle wind blew through the trees. She was thinking, trying to figure out her next step, when someone called her name, Lin Xia. She turned. A man stood there, dressed in black, his face hidden beneath a hood. Who are you? She asked. I've been watching you, he said. You don't belong here, just like me. Her heart stopped. You're from my world, she whispered. He nodded. I don't know how you got here, but I've been here for 2 years, trapped, forced to play a role in someone else's story. Just like you. She wanted to cry. Someone finally understood. She wasn't alone. I know how to get back, he said. But it's not easy, and it requires sacrifice. What kind of sacrifice? Everything. He told her to meet him again, 3 nights later, by the East Garden. But when she tried to go, she was stopped. The emperor was waiting for her. Where were you going? He asked, his voice soft but dangerous. I needed air. She lied. He stepped closer. You were going to leave me, weren't you? She stayed silent. His expression cracked. For the first time, she saw fear in his eyes. Not anger, not betrayal, just deep, painful fear. I love you, he whispered. Even if you don't understand it, even if you think this world isn't real, you are real to me. Her heart twisted. Was it true? Or was he only in love with the idea of her? The next day, she found the man in black again, but he was injured, bleeding, hiding in the shadows. They found out, he gasped. You need to run, tonight. But how could she run now, when the emperor had risked everything to keep her close, when a rebellion was rising and people were dying, when her presence in this world was changing the fate of the entire empire. That night, she had to choose, stay and fight for a love that may be based on fantasy, or run and return to a world where no one knew her name. The choice wasn't easy, and just as she stepped out into the moonlight to decide, an arrow flew past her shoulder. Someone had been waiting, someone didn't want her to choose at all, and that's when the true danger began. The arrow sliced through the air so fast, Lin Xia barely had time to react. It landed with a sharp thunk into the wooden pillar behind her, inches from her face. Her breath caught in her throat as she froze, her mind blank with fear. For a second, the world went completely silent. Then, chaos erupted. Guards came rushing in, metal clashing, shouting everywhere. She ducked behind a stone lantern, her hands over her head, heart thudding wildly. Through the gaps, she saw him, the emperor, charging toward her, sword drawn, face pale with panic. He reached her just in time to block another arrow with his blade. "Are you hurt?" he asked, eyes locked on hers. He looked terrified, not like a ruler, not like someone obsessed with control, just a man, terrified of losing someone he loved. She shook her head, unable to speak. More guards followed, surrounding the area, chasing down the masked attacker. But the real war wasn't just out there. It was inside her. Why did he keep saving her? Why had he risked everything? He helped her up, still holding her hand tightly. "They know about you now," he said. "They think you're a threat to the crown. They'll keep coming." "I never asked for any of this," she whispered. "I just want to go home." His expression didn't change. "Then go." She looked up, startled. "What?" "I won't stop you," he said softly. "If the path to your world opens again, I'll let you walk it. I'd rather lose you than keep you in chains." Tears welled in her eyes. He wasn't obsessed. He wasn't trapping her. He was just in love. And for the first time, she felt it too. Not confusion, not obligation, but real, painful love. A love that had bloomed in the strangest way, in the strangest world. The man in black found her again, this time in the temple ruins, outside the palace walls. His wounds were healing, but his tone was urgent. "The gate is open now," he said. "Whatever force brought us here, it's giving us a chance." She looked at the shimmering mirror-like surface in the middle of the old shrine. Her way home, the real world, but her chest ached. "What happens if I stay?" she asked. He looked at her with sad eyes. "Then this world becomes yours. The rules bend around you, but your memories of the old world, they'll fade." Her fingers curled. The thought of forgetting her life, her family, her dreams, it terrified her. But so did the idea of leaving him behind. That night, the emperor held her close. "I built everything for power, but now I'd burn it all just to have peace with you." She watched his face in the moonlight, saw every scar, every silent plea in his eyes. He wasn't perfect. He made mistakes, but he was real, and so was the love they shared. When dawn broke, Lin Xia stood once more in front of the gate. The man in black waited. "It's now or never." She turned to him. "You're going back?" He nodded. "I've got unfinished business there. Family waiting." She smiled, then looked back at the path to the palace, the golden roofs glowing. In the morning light, "I think I found my home," she whispered. He didn't try to stop her, just gave her a nod of respect before stepping through the gate. As the light closed behind him, Lin Xia turned and walked back to the palace. Her new world, her new life. Months passed. The rebellion was crushed. the traitors exiled. Peace returned. The emperor kept his promise. There were no more concubines, no more hidden games, just the two of them, building a life that made sense. In this strange fairy tale, she had once wanted to escape. She learned their language. She helped advise on village welfare, bringing strange but useful ideas from the world she once belonged to. The people loved her for it, and when she gave birth to their daughter, gentle, wide-eyed, and curious, the palace lit up in celebration. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, she stood on the balcony, their baby in her arms. The emperor wrapped his arms around them both. "You really stayed," he whispered. "I really stayed," she said. No one knew how or why she came. The mystery was never fully solved. But in the end, it didn't matter, because sometimes the right story isn't the one you were reading. It's the one you end up living.